أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الفاتحة اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Welcome. It's really glad to be back. It's our bi-weekly YouTube series, Cultivating Calm, Tools and Techniques, a Sufi Perspective. I'm your host, Khalifa Rubina Ghoor Ansari from the Ansari Holistic Healing Institute. And if you have never seen any of our content or heard about AHHI, then this series will open up a new window into the world of healing from a Sufi perspective. This series will allow you to experience having a mentor in your healing journey. Our intention is to walk you through the processes and share tools and techniques to allow you to live a life in a balanced and holistic way. Insha'Allah, God willing. We would like to build a community where we learn together and make a difference in our own lives, as well as in our families, our communities, and the world, one person at a time. Please take note of the disclaimer. Whether you are looking for answers to your own healing journey or you would like to help others, whether you are a healing practitioner or an avid student who would like to learn more about holistic healing from a Sufi perspective, this series is designed to empower you with knowledge and insights that you need to be the best version of yourself. This is our goal, to help humanity live their best version. This is a commitment to your growth in a world that really needs healthy, happy, wealthy people who are guided to live with love, peace, and unity for goodness. Please click the subscribe button now and turn on notifications to join me every second week. Let's do this together, healing our world one person at a time, God willing. Today we have a very special guest. We are on episode 9. And the topic is the gut-brain connection, eating consciously, nutrition and food choices to cultivate calm with our very special guest, Sadia Ghoor. Welcome, Sadia Ghoor. Assalamu alaikum. Sadia is a holistic healing practitioner. She's based in Durban, South Africa.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a great pleasure to be here today and share some insights on remaining calm from a nutritional perspective, inshallah.
Inshallah. So, Sadia, most people think that digestion starts only in the stomach, right? But as a nutritional therapist, where does the gut-brain story actually begin?
So it begins much earlier than the stomach. So if you have to speak realistically, it begins in the mouth. And before that, in the brain's anticipation of the food. Because the moment you see the food, smell food, or even think about the food, your body is already preparing. Saliva is released, the enzymes are activated, and the nervous system begins deciding, are we safe or are we rushing? And this is where something very overlooked happens. Your mouth is not just an entry point, it is the first organ of digestion. Yet it is also one of the most active biological environments in the body, it has its own microbiome or its own bacterial ecosystem. And so when oral health is not balanced, so when there's gum inflammation, sensitivity, or any form of oral dysfunction or imbalance, that is not isolated. It becomes part of the body's overall inflammatory communication. And inflammation is just not physical, it's neurological. When I speak about this, it's how we eat, the environment of how the food is coming in, all determines the state of being, whether the person is calm or whether there will be some sort of stress or anxiety coming in. So if the if it becomes the overall communication from the brain, the mouth, the stomach, or the gut, all these are interconnected. They're not separate systems. So they're all communicating with each other all the time. It's like when we're communicating with somebody through a WhatsApp, there's a conversation happening, interaction happening. Now, this interaction is happening all the time. It's the nervous system, the brain, the stomach, or the gut, but the first entry point is the mouth. So
Sadia,
before the food can even reach the stomach, the mouth has the first line of defense. It can be, when we start chewing, how are we doing the chewing process? Is it in calm? Are we giving ourselves, they would say there's so many bites we got to take before we swallow. And all that makes sense because the more we chew, the lesser the body has to digest. So, first thing I would say is the chewing, which needs to be done in a very calm, relaxed way. And from there, it reaches the stomach, the gut, and that's where digestion happens. So, what are we saying when we're eating in a calm state that I am safe? So it all starts with the mouth. That's where it begins. And another thing I needed to add in is oral health is sometimes so overlooked, and it's something that we need to take into consideration. A little tip I would give is if you could take a tablespoon of pure organic coconut oil, a tablespoon of that. It may be thick at that moment, but the minute you put it in the mouth, it actually becomes more liquefied. And you just swish it in the mouth for 20 minutes. And then we, release it, but not in your bathroom, somewhere out in the drain, because we don't want this bacteria going around everywhere. And it will also actually clog your drains. So the first point of digestion or would be the mouth. So we get the mouth in a good, clean environment before the digestion actually happens.
Sadia, this is absolutely phenomenal for me because we constantly speak about the food out there, but what you're introducing us to now is understanding that I know only also from the Sufi perspective, when you look at the five principles of Sufi healing, we look at intention as the most important, and not most, but as intention as one of those principles. And what you brought in here is intention and attention, right? That you have there, where how am I going to be eating? What am I going to be eating? And as soon as you start thinking, you mentioned that already things are happening. So even preparation of the food, there's already something happening in the body, right? The mind and the whole being. And then you spoke about oral health, which yes, so often that is overlooked. We're so concerned about the plate being clean and everything else around the environment outside of our bodies. But where is the first place that needs to be cleaned out? And that's our mouths. I know there's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, a narration about cleansing of the mouth and the use of the miswak, where he said it seems so strong that when Jibreel alayhi salam, the angel would come to him, it would feel as if it would become compulsory. So this for me again is a great reminder of how important oral health is, because what we put into our mouths, is it a clean mouth, is our oral health in check. And another aspect, again, from a Sufi perspective, is wudu, where we gargle our mouths regularly when we get ready for prayer or performing our daily practices. And it's also suggested and highly recommended to stay in this state. So gargling our mouth is another way of also maintaining oral health. And thank you so much for that tip of using organic olive oil, organic coconut oil to clean out the mouth. Thank you so much, Sadia. Going to the next question, Sadia. How do everyday food choices influence the communication between your gut and the brain? And also this important thing, I was also, if you're looking at something, right, like with now there's so much of social media and that. So if I look at this creamy, delicious, high calorie cake, okay, what does that do? Does it affect my gut and my brain? Connected to this question of your food choices. So even looking
Yes.
at it, does it affect me? I'm just wondering.
Um, so if you got to look at it, food is not only fuel, it's information. So every meal is a message to your body. It tells your system what kind of internal environment you prepare for. So let's make it simple. As you said, if somebody wakes up in the morning and they're having a cup of coffee and maybe a biscuit, and then you have another person that wakes up and has this healthy, nutritious breakfast with some protein and healthy fats and fiber, and they've hydrated themselves before they've eaten. By mid-morning, the internal world of both of them would be completely different, right?
Mm,
The one will be anxious, scattered. There'll be a sugar craving because the sugar levels were not balanced because there was no protein eaten in the morning. And then you can even see the brain fog comes in. But if you had to look at the other person, they are more grounded, more steady, more emotionally regulated. Now, most people think that the difference is personality, but often it's physiology. The blood sugar stability is deeply tied to emotional stability. And your gut microbiome, the ecosystem inside your digestive system, is constantly being shaped by what you repeatedly eat. So over
mm.
time, food becomes more than a choice. It becomes a pattern of communication. And the communication is constantly shaping how the brain responds to life. So, yes, we could say this, this accepting food, as we would call it, it's okay, right? It's how you perceive it also. And is there balance in your other meals? So if you're having something just once off and it just becomes something that comforting and something that you just feel you need it at that moment, I don't think it's going to be harmful because if we have to look at it, everything starts with intention. The intention is just to give my body the comfort it needs for that moment. It's not something that I'm going to become addictive. I think there's a difference with that. So, what are you communicating with your body? What is the intention? And how is this communication happening within you? Because, as I said, food is not only calories, food is communication.
A very beautiful point. I haven't heard this before, even though it makes 100% sense. There is a communication. So, how I hear what you're saying, Sadia, is there's actually a relationship between you and your food and your brain and your
Yes.
body. And it's like a whole lot of things happening there. So if we can look at food the way you are, whether you are the way you're explaining as this communication that's happening, that's giving us life, that we need to be in tune with. And I think that is also for me a really important principle when it comes to Sufi healing principles is being connected. Connect with your higher self. Connect with the one who created you. Get those messages in your heart. See what is it good, and also what is good for me now. Like Sadia mentioned, if you have a little chocolate or you have a whatever, something that's not so called nutritionally valuable to your body, for that moment you need it. Is that actually good for you? Yes, it might be good for you because that's your need, but you got to be in tune so you don't go into, Sadia mentioned the word addiction. You don't go into a addictive mode. So when addictive mode means we are not present, it means we are on autopilot. We're just eating for whatever reasons it is, or we just out of habit, we are choosing that, or whatever else. We've kind of, like Sadia mentioned again, if you choose the same food continuously without being consciously aware and eating consciously, then obviously there's the communication between gut and brain is not going to be felt, and then you are not going to have the body that you're supposed to have and the brain that you're supposed to have. Thank you, Sadia. Going to the third question. What eating habits are unknowingly disrupting the gut-brain communication and keeping people in a stressed state? This is really important.
Okay. So, one of the most common patterns today is we are constantly eating and rarely pausing. So, it's just not about meals anymore. It's about grazing. When we speak about grazing, it's like I'm having a coffee now. I think I should need some snacks 10 minutes later, and then something else again, and something else again. It's like constantly eating. Like we would say grazing is like how the cows, they're just eating grass and grazing along. We've become this type of community where we just don't stop eating. And I just don't mean it's coffee and snacks. It's between meals, after meals, it's all the time. So the digestive system is almost never fully at rest. And but the body was designed in cycles. Eat, digest, rest. And when that cycle is interrupted constantly, the nervous system also struggles to complete its own cycle of activation and recovery. And this is where structured eating gaps like intermittent fasting becomes very interesting, not as a trend, but as a return to a rhythm. Something subtle but important happens here. Because when the body is given space between meals, it's given a way forward to actually do the cleaning up. And this is so important because what happens is when we, um, when digestion completes more fully, the metabolic processes also reset. The nervous system is no longer constantly reacting to incoming input. And what many people report is not just physical change, but something quieter. There's mental space, there's less urgency, that I gotta have something now. There's more inner stillness, even emotional steadiness, because the body is no longer in constant processing mode. And we would look at Ramadan, for instance. How is it that we can stay without food and not constantly thinking about food? That's the pause Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in the month of Ramadan. And I always think about it this way. How can it be applied to my life daily, where we just give ourselves a time to just pause and just give yourself a break so that the body can also complete its cleaning up process. And we have a little a system in our body called the motor migration system. And this is like where the body is cleaning up. If that only gets activated when there are pauses between eating. And if this is not happening, how is your body going to clear out until the next input happens? So we also got to look at it this way, that food is information. but how much food also plays a role, and how often we eat also plays a role in how stressed we are and how calm we are. Because the nervous system, which is the alarm system in the body, is either activated all the time or just relaxed between meals so that it gets a chance to actually feel regulated. And that's where the calmness comes in. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, beautifully explained, Sadia. We're looking at, obviously, this is our series of calming, right? So I'd like to ask you, what foods and nutritional foundations actually support a calmer nervous system and a healthier gut-brain connection?
Okay, so when we understand calming foods, there's not just one ingredient that will just magically make you calm. It's created when the system is no longer pushed into extremes. So the foundation starts with blood sugar stability. So when the blood sugar rises and falls rapidly, the nervous system mirrors that instability, which can feel like anxiety, irritability, fatigue. But what helps stabilizes that rhythm is protein. When we look at protein, it's not only animal protein, I'm talking about plant protein, which can be your lentils, chickpeas, all those types of things. So, and also another important ingredient is your healthy fats. This would come from your nuts, your seeds, olive oil, coconut oil, all the different oils. Definitely not vegetable oils. That's the no-no list. That is very inflammatory. And we would look at avocados, really good fats, and your fatty fish. I'm not just talking about hake, I'm talking about fatty fish. If we have to look at the word smash, that would be a better way of you identifying and understanding and remembering what these fatty fish are. It's your salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herrings. These and tuna can also play a big role there. So these fish, how much do we have in a week? We should be having at least 3 times a week. That actually helps with those are also calming foods. And the amount of fiber we feed our microbiome, because the fiber comes from fruits, vegetables, also from your lentils. These fiber, they play a major role in gut-brain communication. And also, if we have to look at different foods, I would say healthy fats overall. Your protein, make sure that is the largest portion in your plate. Carbs definitely do not eliminate, but obviously good carbs, brown rice, even basmati rice, things, and good, carbohydrates that like oats, something really that satisfies your or gives satiety to your meal. And if we have to look at a plate, so we have more protein, less carbs, more healthy fats, and fiber. That's what your plate should look like. And it's if that is in balance, the nervous system gets the signal, I'm safe, I'm regulated, and that already gives you this feeling of, I'm feeling so good today. So, yes,
Alhamdulillah.
so yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Nadia, thank you. You've put this so well together and also explained it so well. I think this is really aha moments for myself, and I'm sure for our viewers today, we've learned so much. I've got one more question for you, Sadia, before we leave. What does conscious eating actually look like in real life, and why is it such a powerful tool for emotional and physical well-being?
So, conscious eating is not about slowing down for discipline. It is about changing the state of the body while eating.
Mm.
Because we can have two people that eat the exact meal, the same food, the same nutrients, but we completely different internal experiences. If one is distracted, scrolling, thinking, rushing, and the other one is present, breathing, grounded, aware, and eating with an intention in the name of Allah, they are two different experiences. And in the body, those are not the same meals because digestion is not only chemical, it is neurological and it is governed by our nervous system. So when the body is stressed, it prioritizes survival. And when it is calm, it prioritizes digestion. And so conscious eating becomes a signal. Again, I completely agree with us, where the body sends a signal when someone is consciously eating, I am safe now. And that signal changes everything downstream. Digestion improves, absorption improves, emotional reactivity often reduces, and even the relationship with food begins to soften. And again, we have to look at it. Consciousness in eating or conscious eating is not just mindfulness, it's the full system communication between the mouth, the gut, the brain, and the nervous system. They all work in sync.
Absolutely beautiful. Sadia, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your input and we're really grateful that you are here, to help humanity do the work that needs to be done. Sadia's information will be below the YouTube link. Please do share this video. Share what is going to make people feel better, feel calmer. And Sadia has brought to us information here that is really mind-blowing, heart-wrenching, and also making sure that we are connecting to our higher self when we are choosing the foods that we choose. And this, can you see? I don't know if you notice, listeners or viewers, can you see how this all is holistic, where we actually feel the experience of gratitude also when we are eating consciously, when we are aware of the environment within, which Sadia brought a very important point, the environment within us at all levels, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional, and outward environment. So both the outward, meaning the physical food, and also within us, the way our system, the way our body was meant to be in a balanced state, and how we can nurture that, either nurture that or we can destroy that with, obviously, first of all, intention, attention, choices that we make, connection, how much we eat, when do we eat, how do we eat. And again, it's going back to the 5 principles of Sufi healing, which I'd like you to look at. We did cover this in this series, so you learn more about it. You can connect with Ansari healing. There's a course that you can take up to learn about how you can live your life in this principles of intention, attention, connection, direction, dosage, and timing. Thank you again, Sadia. We're really, really happy to have you with us.
Jazakallah khair for the opportunity.
Barakallah.
Thanks.
So, viewers, we have Ansari Holistic Healing, which collaborates with Ansari Publications and formally endorses its Quran edition as the primary tool for cultivating calm. The Quran daily reading for all humanity, translated by Sheikh Taner Ansari, and we have the Dua, the way of supplication, this book also helping us to cultivate calm. If we look at our speakers, our guests, and connect to all the series that we have covered, we look at names of Allah that we use, that you can now start choosing and saying, how am I using a name of Allah that will help cultivate calm when I am eating? In this case, connecting to our nutritional balance and the way we choose foods and how we choose it, as we've learned today with our guest Sadia Ghoor. These names of Allah are very much alive in our being, and our body understands its language. I believe that my body experiences calm when I connect to Allah's names that bring peace and calm. My body is healing at all levels, and I am a witness to this. I will reflect on my relationship with Allah through the different aspects of my being as I develop healthy habits that help me to take care of myself. As I reflect, practice, and live this experience, it becomes my reality, God willing. Excited to announce our next episode 10, which we will be having our guest speaker, Rosina Wahid, speaking to us about sleep restoration, physical and emotional reset to cultivate calm. Looking forward to having you all with us. Please do sign up, join our YouTube channel, Instagram, and let's work together to make this world a better place for us, one person at a time. We would like to close our session thanking Allah for His guidance and love, and may Allah help us heal and be the vessels for others to heal. Ya Shafi, Ya Noor. Ameen. Al-Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين